Hello, I am Dr. Ashley Parks, and I'm here to review Chapter 7 of our health behavior text. And with this lecture, we are moving from individual level theories when we talk about cognitive theories and intrapersonal theories into multi-level theories, starting to think about bigger groups, about communities and organizational change. And so welcome to multi-level theories for health behavior change. So as we move to multiple levels, I want you to think very broadly. As you think about designing behavior interventions, we think about where we can intervene, design programming, provide health education. So the idea with these multi-level theories is that there are many places we can intervene, many areas in which we can impact change. And so we often do. And sometimes we have a broader understanding of multiple levels without deploying that. Sometimes we don't have a multi-level, multi-tiered approach, but sometimes we do. And so we're going to look at two theories today. To start, we're going to talk through Bronfenbrenner's bioecological systems theory and Flay's triadic model. And then we're going to wrap things up with the integrated behavior model. And so as we walk through these theories together, some of this information may really resonate with you, may appeal to you in your understanding of health behavior in the world around you. Some of it may be a little more new, and that's okay. But I look forward to kind of hearing how you're able to process this and adopt this and use some of these theories, hopefully, in your assignment. One thing that's important to note is that if you are working on a project for your course that requires an in-depth intervention, maybe you're looking at intervening at a family level and then at a community level, maybe developing a health policy. If you're looking at that multi-level approach, this is the lecture to focus on. And so we're finally here. So a few questions to consider. I want you to think about your team's project. So if you're in the 320 class and you're working through this lecture, you're thinking about that team effort, unless you're working alone, possibly, to develop some sort of health behavior related intervention. And when you think about that, you're thinking of a model that will fit both the intervention, both the behavior that you're trying to change, the condition that you're trying to impact, the community that you're working with, and the type of intervention. And so we have to think about a greater theoretical framework or model that helps guide those interventions. And so theories that are discussed in chapters 4 through 6 are all very individualized theories. This is a chance to think broader and to think across multiple levels. And so we'll start out with Bronfenbrenner's biological ecological systems theory. And this theory comes from a long-standing history and work done in the mid 20th century by Yuri Bronfenbrenner, and I'll always hesitate when I say that name, it's a mouthful, who was a Russian-born but American, grew up in the United States, psychologist of child development. So this was a child psychologist who was influenced by all these different theories and ideas that were coming about in the mid-20th century, looking at social processes and what impacts the way children develop and the way that society develops, sociological, psychological concepts around specifically children. And so the notable thing about Bronfenbrenner is that he was the co-founder of Head Start. If you've heard of Head Start, which is a large child services program in the United States that provides access to child care, primarily for individuals who are low income, but there's also a variety of programs that are available to individuals in different communities. And so he was the founder of that effort. And he developed this ecological systems theory that later on was branded the bioecological systems theory. And this picture we have here from structurallearning.com provides a really cool view of a child in the middle, and then these various levels of system around. And we're going to talk about each in a moment. But the basic idea, before we get into the idea of these multiple levels of society, of family, of community impacting a child's development, impacting health behavior, the basic idea is that child development and really any health behavior can be understood as outcomes of the interaction of an individual and several layers within the surrounding ecological system. So how their family reacts, their friends, their community, their environment. Now, this is another viewpoint of that same graphic. If you go back and you spend a little time on this slide, you'll see there's some really cool examples within the microsystem, mesosystem, exosystem. But we're going to go through the definition for those in just a moment. This is another graphic where you can see we have the individual in the middle and then these layers, micro, meso, exo, and macro systems. Now, what do those layers mean? The microsystem that is closest to the individual, or in this case, the child in child psychology, looks at relationships and structures that have a direct and immediate impact. Family, school, neighborhood, daycare, individuals that the child is interacting with on a daily basis frequently. The mesosystem is a little bit further. These are connections between other individuals. So a connection between a child's teacher and the parents, between organizations like the YMCA, faith groups, parents, family, neighborhood. So community organizations impacting the family, the sibling, and then impacting the child. So the mesosystem is really interactions between other folks, whereas the micro is a direct, regular interaction with the child or the individual, right? We apply this more broadly. The exosystem is the whole social system surrounding the first two systems. So when we think about workplaces and social services and health services in the broader environment. And then lastly, we have the macro system. And these are broad attitudes, ideologies of the culture. So we think about American culture, when we think about consumerism, when we think about religion and expectations of society, that's our macro system. So one more time, we've got the microsystem, and the microsystem is individuals who are interacting with our key person in the middle that we're trying to influence their behavior all the time. Their parents, their friends, their colleagues. The macro system is interrelationships between those groups. The exosystem, right, is extended family, neighbors, community. The macro system beyond that is attitudes and ideas of the culture, right, norms. And then the chronosystem, that highest level possible, is very large scale environmental changes that occur over the life course. So when we think about major policy, when we think about things that are far beyond just an attitude or a norm, right? So for example, if we're talking about the weather getting warmer, something like that, that's an environmental trend that has nothing to do with an attitude or a norm or relationships, that's at that chronosystem level. So with the bioecological system levels, a lot of folks, at least I find this happening with me, get that macro system and that chronosystem confused. So your book has given us some really clear definitions for those last two levels. The macro system, they refer to it as kind of a soup or broth that provides a broad base for how everything integrates together. So when you think about gender norms and values and economics, that's that macro system. And then again, beyond that, the chronos system is when we add time and outside factors into the mix. Chrono means time, right? So I use the example, it's getting hotter over time. So maybe it's not sustainable to work an outdoor job, therefore you have to work less or make less money, right? It's the idea that things change over time and resources change. So outside of just those immediate relationships. So Bronfenbrenner really wanted to make sure that we understood the difference between something called a proximal and a distal process. A proximal process is any process that occurs between an individual and their environment, while distal are those that occur within that environment that eventually affect the individual, but are not a direct interaction. So proximal, just like it sounds, means immediate. And this is a great example here. We've got proximal and distal factors listed together. Biological factors, family factors, policy factors, community factors, all coming together. The idea is that some factors in our life are protective. Those are the ones that are listed in the gray section. Some of them are risk factors. Some of them put us at risk. And so it's important that we distinguish between what is directly connected to us versus what can eventually influence us via externality or via multiple relationships over time. and realizing some of those things are protective and some of them are putting us at risk. Now, there's some issues with this model. You've probably already seen the largest issue, and it's the complexity. I have been working in health behavior for almost 20 years, and I still have to slow my roll a little bit and think through how Bronfenbrenner has put this together, the idea of each of these levels and what they need. And I would challenge that if you interact with certain health behaviors, some folks will interpret those interactions a little bit differently. This is a very complex model, has multiple levels, a lot of different types of terminology, and there's room for some subjectivity. Also, because of that complexity, we have this challenge with directionality. The direction of influence is the child influencing the parent, is the environment influencing the parent, is the parent influencing the environment, right? There's all of these interchangeable relationships and just influences going in every direction. So it's very hard to identify a causal chain. It's very hard to say the parent losing their job caused the child to have this situation. Well, what caused the parent to lose their job? What caused that change in the community that led to fewer, less economic and employment opportunity, right? So we have to realize that the world is complicated, and Bronfenbrenner's approach, efforts to theoretically encapsulate the world, is also a very complex view. And so it's not a simple view. And so that makes it difficult in many cases to utilize the model. While it may be accurate or appropriate, it's still very complex. So we're going to move into another model, equally complex. And this is Brian Flay's theory of triadic influence. Now, to put it very simply, you can see in the graphic here that we have culture and environment, social situation, and personal factors all coming together. 3 factors, triadic influence. This theory is also known as the TTI. So the TTI theory was developed in response to all of these overlapping, numerous causal explanations for things that happen in life and health behavior. This leads to this, leads to this, leads back to this, these circular arguments. And so it was attempting to understand ultimate, wide-scale impacts, but also proximal things that are very close to us and distal things that are further away but do impact us in the end, behavioral influences. So mapping all of those influences in a view where we can see how value and social bonds and self-control and role models and knowledge impact our decision-making. And so this was an effort to encapsulate all that together. And this is kind of a fun graphic, but this one may help you encapsulate it a little bit better. We have another fun one on the next slide. You'll see I've kind of shown you how complex it can get again. It is very complicated. But if we keep it simple, the triadic viewpoint that we're going for here with TTI is the idea that our social context, social norms, beliefs, society, match with our cultural environment, which fuels our attitudes towards our behavior, the idea of what is acceptable and what's not, and our biology and personal factors that impact our self-efficacy or our confidence we can make a change. All of those come together to influence our decision and intentions and therefore impact our behavior. So understanding what we believe other people expect, what we believe is appropriate for our culture and our environment, and what we ourselves hold as our values and our belief systems together influence our behavior. Feels pretty logical, right? So this is a simpler view. Now there are various elements under each of these. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see that if we talk through various constructs or elements of culture, of society, of biology, of personality, right, it becomes more and more complicated. We layer in expectations and expectancy, right? Lots of different components. So TTI was proposed to reduce confusion and integrate 2 behavioral theories. We were trying to integrate the idea of causation, one factor leading to another, and the idea of streams of many influence. And how can we map that together and apply this theory to different types of behavior? Now, the idea is that we wanted to understand both immediate factors, proximal factors that impact our behavior rapidly and directly, distal or predisposing factors that might impact our behavior over time, and then, of course, underlying ultimate higher level motivations. And so the idea is that if we break this up, looking at intrapersonal, interpersonal, and cultural environmental factors, we have more of a full viewpoint of what impacts health. Now I'm going to go back for just a moment. And again, we've got these three sections. The idea, the gist, if you will, of this model is that we are not influenced just by one social group, right? There's expectations of society as a whole, there's our friends, there's our colleagues, there's our role models, right? So this model is trying to encapsulate a difference between our attitudes towards behavior, if I think it's okay to smoke or not, versus what a society expects, versus what is my own confidence that I can make a healthy behavior decision. Okay, so we've got a lot of different factors included in this model. We've got intrapersonal, specific to ourselves, biological, genetic factors, psychoanalytic factors, the way we think, cognition, our personalities, our level of resilience and self-control. And then we've got interpersonal. Do we feel like we can exert control over our social systems and our family systems? Parenting, family norms, right? Peer clustering, who do we spend our time with? And then sociocultural or environmental, where are we at from a socioeconomic perspective, right? Do we have access to resources to make certain decisions? How do we feel about certain more radical theories or positions in society? Are we a rebel, if you will, right? All of that is part of our decision making. Now, we could also look at this from a slightly different viewpoint. We could think about these high level, more complicated, more intricate constructs, if you will. Things like how confident we are. How much self-esteem do we have? Are we derogatory with ourselves? Do we have a lot of personal control and discipline? Are we attached to other people? Do we rely on them? Or do we associate with certain groups? And then do we have a certain cultural identity or certain types of motivation fueled by our environment or our culture? And so you'll notice there's a lot of different pieces here. Now, if we go back for a second, these are influences at the ultimate causal level, those higher level influences, but your book also separates out things at the proximal level. What does it feel like at the very up close personal level of what's impacting our decisions day to day? What we expect, and expectancy deals with what we expect as far as consequences out of our actions. And a lot of these concepts, if you notice, I'm not explaining them all in detail, defining them, because we've already talked about some of these as part of the theory of reasoned action and planned behavior, right? The idea that we behave in a certain way and have certain attitudes based on certain expectations. Now, here is a view, and I do realize this is super tiny, so you may want to expand it on your screen a little bit more. But this is a view of all of the various causal levels of our theory of TTI. So we have the biology, personality, social station or social norms, right? And culture environment. And then you'll notice there's social personal norms on a level that are impacted by each of those. Our own expectations and expectancies, our affect and our cognition, so our thoughts and feelings, and then how those lead to intentions. So the idea that who you are, what you believe in, who you associate with, what the norms are around you in your culture and society impact norms for you, impact what you believe, impact what you think and feel, what you decide and what you do, right? Working all the way down. Now, there's a couple other postulates or outcomes, things that we see that come out of this model. All three streams of influence that we have, right, from the social, the personal, biological factors, and the cultural or environmental factors, all inform our cognition and our thoughts. So they all come together to inform, one, our thoughts, and two, our feelings. And so we have that rational versus emotional viewpoint when we make a decision, right? Often we're thinking about both. And these streams and substreams come together. And so you'll notice that there's a lot of complicated language, this reference to proximal and distal and ultimate. You have to think about the immediate factors, the broader global factors, and then those smaller predisposing factors that may put you at risk or protect you, but they're not the ultimate defining. Now, one of the things that makes this theory so complicated is there's these interactions between the streams, right? Who we spend our time with influences how we feel about ourselves, which influences how we feel about our family, which influences how early we wake up in the morning and what we choose to eat. All of these interrelationships and the feedback that come together. And what's very interesting is that quite often our health decisions have very little to do with health, right? We're not choosing to eat poorly because we want to be unhealthy. We're choosing it because it's quick, because it's easy, because we're hungry, because it smells good, right? So we have to realize that these are all not just complicated models that we're applying, but also we're not always in a rational, health-oriented decision-making stance. Now, next I'm going to talk for a minute about the integrated behavior model. And if you remember, if you go back to chapter 4 and look at that lecture, chapter 4, part 2 that I posted, talks about the theory of planned behavior, which also then, which is an evolution of the original theory of reasoned action. And this theory tells us that we have this perceived behavioral control, how much we can control our behavior and how we believe we can make positive change. And then we have attitudes toward that behavior and perceived norms about what we think society and other people think about our behavior. And so that theory is the intrapersonal, very singular viewpoint of our cognition, our thoughts and feelings with just minimal outside interaction and norms. The integrated behavior model takes all of those concepts and ups it a little bit. It integrates the theory of planned behavior into a multi-level theory. So essentially it takes that theory and it creates IBM, or the integrated behavior model, which looks at our feelings about behavior, our behavioral beliefs, our normative beliefs, and what we think other people want us to think and feel, our ability to control our actions, our ability to make change and believe in ourselves, self-efficacy, and it breaks that up into attitudes, what we believe is a norm based on society and who we surround ourselves with, and our ability and our belief and our ability to change our personal agency. It breaks it up into those three constructs and say those three things lead to intention. However, you'll notice that this is different from the theory of planned behavior, which talks about planning leading to intention, leading to action, because it adds in knowledge and skills, how important or salient or memorable the behavior is, environmental constraints, and habits. So what this theory does, if you look at the second to the last column, is it adds in these outside factors. It says all of these components of who you are and what you believe and the norms around you lead to your attitude, your perception of norms, and your agency, which then lead to your intent. But in order for that intent to translate into actual behavior, you have to have the ability to format habits. The environmental constraints have to be in your favor. You have to remember that behavior has to be salient and important to you, and you have to have some knowledge. So this is a much broader viewpoint of that theory of planning. So with that integrated behavior model, there are some other additional factors that we want to keep in mind. The salience piece. If something is not important to you, you aren't going to do it. If you can't remember it, I don't know if you ever have this moment, I have it all the time. Something will be something maybe mid-level importance in life. Maybe I need to pay a bill or take care of something. And I got distracted. And all of a sudden I remember I didn't do that thing because it didn't feel important at the moment. It didn't feel salient. It just felt like another task. So quite often our role as individuals who are working these theories, we're using these theories to impact behavior change. We want to boost knowledge. We want to boost the memorableness, the perceived importance, the salience of that behavior. We want to help our clients, our communities tackle any environmental constraints in the way, and we want to help them form good habits. And so these are kind of those additional factors in addition to just whether or not they have attitude, intention, and perceived control. So this is that third model that I think is really important to keep in mind. Now, there are other multi-level models that are important. For example, the CDC highly leverages the socio-ecological model that we've talked about before, and this is a viewpoint of that, looking at individual, relationship, community, and societal factors. And sometimes we refer to that as individual, family, organizational, community, policy factors, right? We see it packaged in different ways. What's important to remember is that this is not that different from the mesosystem and the chronosystem and all of that in Bronfenbrenner's model. And so quite often when you're implementing health behavior change, when you're instituting something major in your community, you are going to want to leverage your understanding of multiple models at once, realizing maybe I'm impacting something in the mesosystem and maybe I'm working in the relationship level. You're well aware of what different theories have to say about what you're doing and leveraging the tools that apply to each of those theories. And I hope that's been helpful. Now, you've got a couple upcoming assignments that I just want to review really quickly. If you're actively in the 320 course at this point in the class, this should apply to you. This should be helpful. I want to make sure that everybody's aware of the community health profile assignment. I often get outreach. Is this an individual assignment? No, this is a group assignment. This is where you investigate the health status of your community that you're using for your final project, for your theory-driven health behavior plan. And you are going to write up a community health profile. It could be a really fun set of graphics, maybe an infographic. It could be a larger written report or a PowerPoint, but it needs to come together and describe overall the health status of your community, along with a few separate metrics. I don't expect something exhaustive. Most community health profiles are huge with many metrics and many pages, but I'm looking for you to capture the overall health status of your community and perhaps feature the health issue that you're going to be tackling in your theory-driven community health behavior intervention plan. This intervention plan, as you know, is a short paper. I'm forcing you to be succinct in your group, 3 to 4 pages max, excluding references and title page and whatnot. And in addition to choosing the health issue, discussing the health theory, I recommend 2 that you'll be applying to the frameworks you'll be applying. I need to know your goals of your program, how you will evaluate that program, take a close look at the rubric, because I outlined this pretty specifically. And then you'll need to take that and port it over into a group presentation. And so you have a presentation and paper. Again, the paper is very short, just practicing writing out the narrative for planning a program. And then when you're all done, you'll write a short reflection paper, each of you summarizing your experience and talking about how things went, working together with your group, and how your collaboration worked out. All right. All right, well, please reach out to me with any questions about assignments or about any of these models. I hope you notice I'm very candid with you in my examples and the way I casually explore these models. It's never going to be, at least not when I teach, a perfect explanation of this ideal model. Every model has different applications. I'm never going to say, oh, you have to use this one. It depends on the health issue, the community, the system that you're working in. All right. All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a great week.